Sales of so-called organic food are up. But is that ambiguous label false comfort? Let's ask the author of Green Enough, Eat Better, Live Cleaner, Be Happier, all without driving your family crazy. Food and consumer health activist Leah Segedie is founder of Momavation, a community of women empowered to live differently by avoiding hormone-disrupting chemicals. Leah, welcome.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm so happy to be here.
Hey, as I see product labels in the supermarket, organic seems to be a marketing term. Is there a strict definition?
You know, actually, there is a strict definition, but it's important for the consumer to understand that organic is more about a process and a plan than it is a test. And so what happens is the farmer and the certifier agree on a plan, and this avoids GMOs, it avoids toxic synthetic pesticides, but it's really a process to create better health, better soil health, and for the ecosystem. Now, Americans really want no pesticides in their products, and organic also does that as well. But what we've found is it's not so much the farmers when there's a problem. It more has to do with the global organic supply chain, or it has to do with the manufacturers, for instance, like in China. So I kind of look at the organic industry as a junior high school kid. They've now just entered $50 billion a year, so they're big enough to say they've graduated to junior high, but now they're getting a little rambunctious, some things are happening, and so now it's time to implement some additional strategies to make sure that, you know, they grow in a better way. It's not that organic is bad, it's that, you know, he's a good kid, sometimes he just ends up in the principal's office.
Yes, interesting analogy. Leah, we have stayed on top of this glyphosate story as thousands of lawsuits by cancer victims against Bayer for their Monsanto Roundup weed killer progress. And your organization, working with the Detox Project, spotted a problem with vegan protein products being sold on Amazon. Talk about that.
Well, Momavation and the Detox Project commissioned a study, and we lab tested 5 of the top pea protein or conventional and organic brands. And so what we found was a little shocking, and I was a little upset about it myself, but we found that the organic pea protein brands had about the same amount of glyphosate or more than the conventional brands. So we don't really think this is happening again at the farming. We think that this is actually happening more in the manufacturing. And what we're dealing with right now is Europe has actually clamped down on organic. And so the adulterated ingredients, so to speak, can't really go there anymore. So where they're coming is, guess what? They're ending up here. So we did some research on what happened, and we're finding that there's 2 big issues right now. One of them is called swapping out, and one of them is called desiccation. So let me tell you what those are about. Swapping out is when in the manufacturer, so this is probably happening likely, we're seeing a lot of this in China, the manufacturer will swap out a conventional ingredient for an organic ingredient because it saves him money. And then what is supposed to happen and what should be happening is a lot of testing to be able to find that. But the organic industry in the United States doesn't have as much testing protocols as Europe now has. So this is becoming a big issue. The other thing we're finding that's a problem is desiccation. And desiccation is actually affecting everybody, not just organic eaters, but people that don't eat organic food. And it's when a farming practice, when the farmer sprays the field with glyphosate at the end of the harvest to dry it out quicker so that he can save money and time. But what ends up happening is if you're harvesting it right after you sprayed it, the amount of glyphosate rises. And so we're seeing a lot of glyphosate in a lot of products that have wheat, oats, legumes like pea protein, and some spices like cinnamon. So this is an issue for everybody, and desiccation is a problem. But again, I feel like organic needs somewhat of a Band-Aid to deal with these 2 issues.
We have made a point of no longer buying dog treats if the package says made in China. Is that something humans ought to abide as well?
Well, you know, I've actually lived in China before. I taught English there long time ago. And so the Chinese people are amazing people. But, you know, systems like government and those kind of things sometimes break down. I wouldn't say that all Chinese, all manufacturing is bad. I would say it's neutral. I would say some people, you know, are not as honest, I would say, and some people are not. That's what I would say.
Gotcha. When Uncle Sam doesn't get the job done, citizens will, and your group, Momavation.com, has launched a campaign to crowdfund testing baby food, breakfast cereal, and other foods. Talk about the project and tell our viewers how they can pitch in.
Yeah, Momavation and the Detox Project really believe that the only way to solve this problem, part of the things that we have to do, is do more testing. And so we started testing the food supply, and we started testing with those pea protein brands, but we want to go up beyond that. We want to test baby food and pasta and cereals and all of those things, but we need your help. So I'm hoping that everybody will go to momavation.com/fund food testing and give us some money for our GoFundMe page. If everybody chipped in $25 to $100, we could literally test the entire food supply and let you know what brands have higher levels of glyphosate and other pesticides and what doesn't. And we want to be able to do that for you, so we're hoping that we can.
All right, now nice and slow. Say that again. What's the website address to pitch in?
So it's momavation.com/fund, F-U-N-D, food, F-O-O-D, testing, T-E-S-T-I-N-G.
Hey,
Fund food testing.
Based on all you know, what do you personally avoid eating, period, lately?
Well, I haven't been eating a lot of pea protein, but I'm not a vegan, so this isn't as problematic to me as it would be to someone who is eating more plant-based foods. So there are some major crops that if you're eating conventional food that are higher in glyphosate, those are oats, wheat, legumes, and some spices. So if you're eating conventional, those are things you could just kind of avoid a little bit because they have higher rates of glyphosate, for instance. But, you know, I don't really avoid a lot of things per se. I just try to eat organic most of the time. But again, you know, when you leave the house, you know, you're eating out. You have no control over that. So what we do in my home is we control as much of those ingredients as possible, and I cook most of my food. And if you cook most of your food, you're getting rid of a lot of those contaminants that you're going to find, you know, in the processing and the, like, you know, the food packaging and those types of things. So, you know, cooking from home is a great strategy to avoid a lot of this stuff.
Thank you, Leah Segedie, momavation.com.
I'm Larry King. Questioning, listening, learning. You know, I've always said I never learned anything when I was talking. It's important to listen. Question more.